everyone. This is Nithin Ramachandra from the NR Sports Show. This is episode 785, joined by a special guest, Daniel Descalso. He's a World Series champion in 2011 with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he also played for the Rockies, Diamondbacks, and Cubs, and now obviously recently just signed with the Minnesota Twins. So congrats on that. We're going to get to that, but first I want to get to your the other teams you play with, and obviously your World Series champ. But first of all, how are you and your family doing so far? And thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, family and I are doing great. Just navigating the last year like everyone else has been. Just taking it one day at a time. But thankfully everyone is healthy and doing well. And just try to take the silver lining that happened the last year and enjoyed spending time with the family more. And so it's been fun. So we're all doing well.
So I want to ask you about your childhood growing up, and for you. When did you start realizing that you wanted to play the game of baseball, and did you have like a role model growing up in the game of baseball?
So, from a young age, I gravitated towards baseball. My dad and I used to go to a lot of A's games. When I was younger, we had season tickets to the Oakland Coliseum, and we'd go to like 15, 20 games a year. And, those are my earliest memories of the game. And then, obviously getting into Little League, and, my dad was my coach, and, I really started to enjoy, playing and practicing, and just loved everything about the game. As I got older into high school, playing more competitively, and being one of the better players on my team, I realized, I have a good chance to continue to play in college. And I guess in high school, that was my goal, just to get to the next level, and, can keep playing for as long as I could. But I guess if I had to pick a role model, it would be my dad, baseball wise. He played college baseball, and so he knew the game, and taught me the fundamentals at a young age, and taught me how to play the game. And so I just tried to keep improving from there, and got to college, and same thing. Wanted to find a way to get to the next level, and just wanted to get drafted and have a chance, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So speaking of high school and college. Obviously now in today's game, managers love players that can play multiple positions, and you're that type of player where you can play a lot of positions. So for you, when did you start doing that? And was it high school, college, or when did you start doing that, playing every position? Did you pitch?
I have pitched, yeah. My numbers were pretty good my first couple of times pitching, but then I had to pitch in Denver one time and give up a few homers, so my numbers were inflated after that. But I always played, I played shortstop growing up. I played shortstop and pitched. And then when I got to high school, I was still pitching. And our shortstop was really good. So he played shortstop all the time. I would pitch and play second, or pitch and play third. Same thing in college. I played some second and third. I didn't really play any shortstop in college, but, I had bounced around the infield enough. And then when I got to pro ball, same thing. Played a lot of second base, ended up playing some third, even some shortstop. And, as I got older and got into the big leagues, I kind of realized, hey, if I want to stick around and play for a long time, I should probably be comfortable moving around a lot of different positions, create some value. So from there, I ended up playing some first base, added some outfield to the mix. So, nowadays with creating matchups and giving guys off days, and, you can, the more flexible you are, the better you are to have on a roster.
Yeah, so for you, this is a question I always like to ask athletes or former players that came on the show. For you, what are the main things that you learned as a baseball player in high school and college that got you to the next level?
So I think for me, and for a lot of baseball players, dealing with failure, as the best hitters in the game, you go up to the plate and you get out 7 out of 10 times. So to be able to kind of embrace that and kind of focus on the process, having a good at bat, hitting the ball hard, and whatever happens. Obviously it's a results-based game, but you have to be able to deal with some failure at some point. And then another thing that's helped me is just staying level, not getting too high or too low. It's a long season, as a lot of games. You're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. So, just staying level right in the middle, and just riding that wave of the ups and downs during the season, that has really helped me, to stay focused and locked in for 162 games.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about your draft experience. Obviously, go back to your draft experience. You got drafted by one of the most historic organizations, in my opinion, in baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals. To be honest, I have three organizations that I think it's the most historic. I'm a big Yankee fan, and we're there, and then the Dodgers, and then the Cardinals. That's my three teams, in my opinion, are most historic. But for you, take me back to the draft experience. What was it like being with your family, waiting for your name to get called, and finally getting your name called by the Cardinals?
Yeah, so draft day was great. I was actually still at school. We were on the quarter system, so we hadn't even taken finals yet. So I was at our house with a bunch of buddies of mine, some guys that I played baseball with, and I didn't really know the Cardinals had much interest. I had talked to a lot of teams, but I think I'd only spoken to them, maybe once, so they weren't really on my radar. I got a call from my agent, at some point during the draft on the first day. He said that, hey, the Cardinals are going to take you with the next pick. Is that something that you're interested in? I said, yeah, of course. Like, let's go. It's be great. It's, like you said, a historic organization. They had just won the World Series the previous year in 2006. And so then when their next pick was up, they called my name. Everyone went nuts in the house. It was really exciting. We were already planning to have a large get together at our house that night, not for the draft, but just college party. And so it ended up being like a dual threat, just a party and a draft party. So it was great.
That's awesome. And for you though, obviously some of these players need to prove themselves to make the roster. And for you, you're a great player in college too. And for you, when you were walking through the clubhouse in your rookie year, and you're seeing players like Albert Pujols, David Freese that was there. You have Jake Westbrook, Chris Carpenter. And then you have Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, and they're still going at it. Most of these players. And what's it like going into the locker room and seeing those type of players?
I mean, for a young player to come into a team with all that experience, all that experience winning, it was great. To watch those guys and how they work. To watch, watch Albert Pujols show up every day and just be on a mission from the time he steps in the clubhouse. Starts his work and gets prepared for that night. To watch Yadi, prepare better than anybody. Breaking down other hitters so that those pitchers can just trust him during the game and throw with whatever he calls. But just as a young player, being able to watch those guys and how they prepare and what it takes to prepare to win every night. I couldn't walk into a better situation. And there were a few of us young guys that they got to be a part of that run. And for us, we just wanted to contribute, to learn from them, and find ways to stick around and help the team.
Yeah. So when I had Adrian Chambers on the show, I'm just curious. I just want to get your take on this. And he said he was impressed that I brought up Jake Westbrook, because he said that a lot of people forgot about him. And how come people forget about Jake Westbrook and not me? It's crazy.
Yeah. Westy was great. He, veteran guy, had been around a long time. Did a really good job of throwing sinker balls up there and getting ground balls, a guy that really knew how to pitch. But he really kept it light in the clubhouse too. He came up with a lot of funny sayings that guys repeated and just became kind of the everyday terms out there. And he actually ended up getting a huge win for us in Game 6 of the World Series. I don't think he had pitched in a while, but true pro that he is, he stayed prepared and was ready and came out and got the job done.
Yeah, so take me back to that 2011 season. Obviously, winning the World Series it's always tough to win a championship in every sport. And I told Adrian this: your roster reminded me of the Golden State Warriors of the NBA when they had the big, and the Miami Heat when they had the big three. And you guys had a loaded roster. Depth is important in baseball, and you guys had a lot of depth. And David Freese came up big for you guys in the in the playoffs. And just take me back to that season. And what was the message that the manager gave you? That gave you, and then we're able to come together as a team and win that championship.
So I think the expectations were pretty high going into that year. Obviously, our roster was one of the best in the league. We were a pretty loaded roster, a lot of great players. But towards the middle of the season, we weren't where we wanted to be. The front office made some trades, and we didn't really play very well after those trades. So towards the end of August, I think we were like 10 games out of a playoff spot, and we had a players only meeting that Chris Carpenter called, and basically said, hey, guys, let's not do this for anybody else, but the people inside this clubhouse. Let's go out there and show everyone that, hey, the type of baseball we've been playing is not indicative of the team we have. So that kind of jump started us a little bit, and we were able to get on a run there in September, close the gap. We were chasing the Braves in the wild card race, and slowly but surely we were gaining ground. And all we really talked about was having a chance to make the playoffs going into the last series of the year against the Astros team that was really young at that point. A lot of those guys that you see now were a part of that team. So, but we had closed the gap on the Braves going into that series, and we liked our chances. Ended up sneaking in on the last day, and we rode that momentum, all the way through the playoffs. So, so we may not have the best record during the regular season, but sometimes it's the hottest team going into the playoffs that catches fire and is able to carry that into a championship.
Yeah. So for you, would you say that was this the best rotation you ever seen and you've been a part of with Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, Jake Westbrook, Lance Lynn, Kyle Loesch even, and Edwin Jackson? Is a loaded pitching staff. Would you say it was one of the best out there?
Yeah, and unfortunately, Wainwright didn't pitch at all for us that year. He had Tommy John. He had surgery in spring training, but he was there every step of the way. Watching Chris Carpenter do his thing all year, just the competitor that he is out there. And you mentioned Kyle Loesch. He didn't get a lot of credit, but he took the ball every fifth day and gave us a solid outing. Even Jaime Garcia, left-handed pitcher, threw some really important games for us. Jason Mott and Mitchell Boggs in the bullpen. We had some guys step up, especially guys on the mound, and you can't win a championship unless you have good pitching. So we were lucky to have plenty of arms that year.
Yeah, obviously, sports. I mean, when players move, it's a business. And for you, was it tough leaving the Cardinals? And obviously, you went on from the Rockies. And was it tough leaving that team?
Yeah, of course. As a player, that's the only organization you ever known. They drafted me. I came up there. I was very appreciative of the opportunity that they gave me. But my last year there, I kind of felt like, hey, maybe my time here has run out. I wasn't playing as much as I would have liked. So for me, it ended up being, a good thing for me personally to move on from the Cardinals and get an opportunity with the Rockies. And, very thankful for my opportunity that Colorado gave me. I got to go over there, continue my career, learned a lot about it was funny. I was still a young player on that Cardinals team, and then I go to the Rockies, and I sort of am like an instant veteran over there. So that was, just a different dynamic, but, got to play with a lot of great players over there too. Troy Tulowitzki, Justin Morneau, Nolan Arenado, DJ LeMahieu, Charlie Blackmon, some really great players. So that was a fun experience as well.
I'm happy that DJ's on our side now in Yankee Town.
Hey, DJ he's a great hitter, really tough out guy that really knows how to handle the bat. He's fun to watch play.
Yeah. So speaking of Colorado, you went from playing with great players in St. Louis and Colorado. So how was that like? And obviously, you just mentioned Nolan Arenado, who's now in St. Louis as we speak. But what was it like just going from a great locker room to another great one?
I was very lucky. My whole career I've been in, great organizations, great places. It was a little different going from St. Louis, where you're expected to make the playoffs every year and compete for a championship, to Colorado, where some younger players. I wouldn't really call it a rebuild, but guys were still developing, learning how to play the game, and establishing themselves as major leaguers. So my 2 years there, we didn't have winning record. We played some good baseball, but then in 2017, after I was made the playoffs in the wild card game, so I felt like I had a little bit to do with helping that franchise take that next step forward.
Yeah, so obviously now, and then you went to the Diamondbacks, but before that, I want to ask you about the Cubs, because you played for the Cubs too. And what was it like competing against the Cardinals, your former team, in the same division?
The better ones in baseball, and I remember as a young player in St. Louis, going to Wrigley for the first time and seeing the stands packed, half Cardinals, half Cubs fans, and the fans really get into the rivalry. And there's been a handful of guys that have played on both sides of it. So there was still some familiar faces in St. Louis when I was playing for the Cubs. So it was fun. Wrigley Field on a Saturday afternoon is tough to beat. So I really enjoyed my time in Chicago.
Yeah, and now I want to talk about Arizona, another great organization, and they're up and coming. And for you, what was it like playing in Arizona? And you played with manager Torey LaRue, right? LaRue? Yeah.
Torey.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it like playing underneath him? Obviously, a great manager. And what was it like playing in that stadium, in that ballpark?
You know what? I really liked Arizona. One of the many positives, like you go there for spring training. You don't have to relocate again. Obviously the stadium is right there in Arizona where the spring training complex is. In my first year there, I think the year before the Diamondbacks didn't have a very good year, so expectations were kind of low. New manager, new front office, but Torey was great. He came in with expecting a lot out of us, challenged us. And we ended up making the playoffs that first year. And so the organization, the people in the front office running things, it's the guys that are really smart and do a really good job. And I really enjoyed my time with Arizona and playing for Torey. He's been one of my favorites.
Yeah. So before we get to your new opportunity with the Twins, you also played in the Baseball World Cup with Team USA. And what was that experience like? Being with part of great talented players, playing with and seeing other great talent on other teams. What was that Baseball World Cup like?
Oh, I mean, it was fun to be able to, to do that and go out there and have success. That was a fun experience. Kind of break up get out of the minor league season for a little bit and go do that and explore, play in a different part of the world. I was very lucky to have that opportunity. Something I'm very grateful for. So that was a great time.
Yeah, so obviously now you said you signed with the Twins minor league deal, but before we get to that, I want to ask you. Obviously, we're still going through a tough time with the pandemic, but hopefully there's a light underneath the tunnel for this, so we can have a normal life again. But for you, what have you learned from the past year as a player, and what did you improve on to get better for the season?
Well, I think you can't take. I don't take playing this game for granted. I think there was a lot of guys last year that didn't get a chance to play. A lot of minor league guys that lost a year of development. And then a lot of people, lost jobs and lost family members. So, I think, for us, just not taking things for granted and, enjoy living in the moment, and trying to enjoy what we do have. But for me, I got a chance to work on some things. I have a friend that has a baseball facility near my house. So he gave me the key to it, and they have a pitching machine that automatically feeds you. So I'll go in there pretty much every morning for an hour and hit some baseballs and just try to stay sharp. I didn't sign with anybody in the off season, and it wasn't in spring training with anybody, but I still wanted to play and was trying to stay ready for an opportunity. I got a call from the Twins on Sunday and flew out here on Tuesday and was in the lineup last night. So just trying to stay as sharp as I could and be ready when an opportunity presented itself.
Yeah, so when the winter meetings was there, did you guys stay in contact with the teams, a lot of teams, and how tough is it that you had to wait a long time and now eventually finally getting your opportunity? And I said I'm a big Yankee fan. I said go sign Daniel Descalso, man. This guy can play anywhere, and it would be a perfect player for a championship team. But take me through the free agent process. How tough is it for you sitting back and waiting for a long time, not knowing what to do? And was the Yankees ever interested in you or any other teams before the Twins?
Yeah, so this wasn't my first time being a free agent, so I've been through the process before. Yeah. But obviously this was a difficult one. It was frustrating. I had anticipated having to sign a minor league deal and maybe go and try and make a team during spring training, and we got a couple calls, but ultimately nobody ended up signing me. And I know there was, I didn't really play last year and I had a struggle in 2019, and there's some limitations on number of guys you can bring to camp this year. So, I got all that, but I still was a little frustrating not being in spring training, but, I still wanted to play, still was trying to stay ready. So, just waiting for a call and trying to be ready when I did get a call. As far as the Yankees go, I have a buddy that works in their scouting department, and he called me to see what my interest was in playing this year, and I told him, hey, I'll go wherever. So if the Yankees want to sign me, give me a call. But ultimately it didn't happen. But yeah, I just tried to stay ready for that opportunity when it did present itself.
Yeah, so for you, what are you most looking forward to now since you're in the minor leagues and you played your first game yesterday and you're fully with the team now? So what are you most looking forward to? And obviously the Twins are in a rough start right now, and obviously Rocco Baldelli is a great young manager. But what are you most looking forward to when you get the call up?
Oh, right now it's just nice to be back playing again. I've been home for a long time. I haven't played in a game in a while, so it was nice to go out there last night, get in the box and compete. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I didn't get any hits. I had some good at bats. Felt good in the box, just like riding a bike. So it was fun to be back out there. Definitely not in game shape. I'm a little tired today, but I felt a lot better than I anticipated I was going to.
So what do you like about this Twins roster? Obviously, a lot of young talent in the minor leagues and in the majors too. What do you like about this Twins roster?
These guys have a good team. Watching the last couple of years, guys that can drive the ball out of the ballpark. A team that has been competing for that AL Central. It's been in the playoffs. I know they're struggling right now a little bit. They've been banged up a little bit. I think they had some guys go on the COVID list. So, it's still early. They have time to turn things around, and hopefully, I can be a part of that and just contribute up there at some point.
Yeah. So what advice would you give these young athletes or young players that are trying to reach their goals and get to the dreams? And what advice would you give them?
Man, just work. Don't be afraid to work hard. Just know that there's always somebody, working, trying to outwork you. So, take those extra swings in the cage, take that extra practice. But, as a young player, have fun. This game is hard. So the more fun you can have, the better. I always tell guys, it's okay to smile out there on the field. It's a game you're playing. You should enjoy it. Don't beat yourself up over mistakes. This isn't a game for people who don't make mistakes. It's a game for guys who learn from their mistakes and get better from it. So, those two things have kind of helped me over the years.
So now we do this fun little segment on the show. It's called the rapid fire segment. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Are you a gum or seeds guy?
Seeds.
Seeds. So what are your thoughts on when you heard the news when the Angels released Pujols, and do you think he was going to sign with another team?
Man, I was surprised. I was hoping that he maybe would get to go out in a different way, like some other legends have. But I know he still wants to play, and I would never bet against Albert. So hopefully he gets a chance with somebody and goes out there and continues doing his thing.
I'm sure you know this manager named Tony La Russa down in Chicago. Do you see that happening or no?
I know that he came out and said probably not, but that was my first instinct was, hey, maybe Tony will bring Albert in for old time's sake.
Favorite memorable game that you played? So, I mean, obviously the World Series, but outside of the World Series, what other memorable game that you had?
Game 5 of the 2012 NLDS against the Nationals. We were down 6-0 early in the game. Ended up coming back to win that game and go on to the next round. I ended up hitting a homer. I had 3 hits that night. Drove in 3 runs. That was a fun game.
Do you like the new extra innings rule?
Yeah, you know what? I don't mind it. I don't like those 17, 18, those long games, and I think this does a good job of kind of eliminating that. So yeah, I kind of like it.
But if you think about it, I mean, it could be so long because you never know. Each team gets a man on second. You never know how teams are clicking, and you can go back and forth. But do you think that could happen sometimes when the teams can go back and forth and it can go longer?
I don't know. I think putting a guy on second definitely is going to create more run scoring opportunities. Sometimes in those long extra inning games, you get everybody swinging for the fences, trying to hit a home run and win the game like that. So I think this incorporates a little more strategy, by throwing a guy out there on second base to start.
So I'm sure you saw this game when Anthony Rizzo struck out Freddie Freeman. What was your reaction when you saw that?
My first reaction was that Anthony's never going to let anybody ever forget about that. He's going to be talking about that for a long time. I texted him the next day, and he was pretty excited about it, as he should be. As a position player, if you get a chance to pitch, there's nothing you want more than to get a strikeout, especially someone that you know kind of well. So I got to pitch. I've pitched a few times, and I have a couple of strikeouts. One was a pitcher who was just taking pitches, but I have a real strikeout against a former teammate of mine, Gerardo Parra.
Oh, wow.
So that was, I know he was not very happy about it, but I was really happy about it.
Yeah. So speaking of connections, what's it like keeping those connections with your former teammates, like you just said, Anthony Rizzo, and what's it like just keeping in touch with them?
It's great. I've been lucky to make some good friends over the years. We have various group texts going on. Get together and golf in the off season with some of them. So it's fun to maintain those relationships and keep up with those guys, and make friends that carry on outside of baseball.
Favorite. All right. What's your pregame music?
You know what? Usually I'm just whatever's on in the clubhouse. I'm not a big put my headphones in and play my own music, but I'm pretty easy going about that. So whatever's going on in the clubhouse.
So whenever you finish your career, and would you consider being a manager or a coach, a hitting coach down the line?
Yeah, I think I've been really lucky to have a lot of good coaches in my career. A lot of guys, have an impact on my career, and I would like to, pass that along to the next generation of players. So in what capacity, I don't know. When that time comes, we'll figure it out. But I would like to stay in the game in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So speaking of your other former teammate, Nolan Arenado. So take me back to your reaction when you got traded to St. Louis. Obviously, a big get for them, and now they have Paul Goldschmidt in there too. But did you reach out to Nolan after the trade, or?
Yeah, I've talked to Nolan quite a bit. I knew that would be a great fit for him. You'd heard the rumors for a while, but he's a guy that just wants to win. He works really hard. And I think the people of St. Louis, all the Cardinals fans, are getting to see him on a daily basis and getting to appreciate him more and more every day. The way he impacts a game at the plate, in the field. There's not many guys out there that do that like him.
So obviously you've done bunts before. Favorite squeeze bunts, sack flies. What do you like?
Well, there was one time I had to pinch hit bunt. I was down on the bench, and LaRusso was like, "Hey, you're up next." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Grab my stuff, and he's like, "You're gonna go bunt." So I fouled off the first one, fouled off the second one. I'm like, "Oh crap, it's 0-2 now. Are they gonna keep the bunt on?" Kept the bunt on, got the 0-2 bunt down, got him on. Came out of the game right after that, and so that was a most stressful bunt I had.
Wow. Are you a football guy?
Yes, I am.
Favorite NFL team?
The 49ers.
Oh wow, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Okay.
Thoughts on Trey Lance?
You know what? I think he has high ceiling. Very athletic, obviously big guy. Strong arm, a little unproven out of the smaller school, but I think should get him in Shanahan's system. Should be exciting to watch. I didn't really know which way they were going to go. A lot of Mac Jones talk. I really thought they were going to take Fields at Ohio State. But obviously they like Lance, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So before I let you go, the last two things here. Our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. Actually, he's now an offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. So I'll send you this page so you can check it out. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking and making sure the kids stay safe, the community stays safe, because it's so horrible out there what I'm seeing with human trafficking, and we need to prevent that. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Yeah, for all the essential workers out there, all the people, putting their own health at risk to help us all, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. And, we couldn't, fight this pandemic without you guys.
Yeah, so well said. There it is, guys. That wraps up episode 785 with World Series champ Daniel Descalso. He has a new opportunity now with the Minnesota Twins. Good luck this season. Hopefully, you get the call up pretty soon, and keep up the great work. It was truly an honor to have you on the show today, and we would like to have you back so you can meet the full team at some point. But keep up the great work, and you're a great player, and you and your family stay safe.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure coming on, and yeah, I'll be back on soon.
Yeah, no problem.